Hi, I'm Rainbow Sparkle and I'm reading The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton, and this is chapter 12. What happened to the snowman? Everyone stared at the big white bears in horror. No one had thought of the chimney. What a pity they hadn't shut it up. I am going to let the magic snowman in, said the first white bear. Then the father bear spoke up in a sorrowful voice. Cousin, why are we enemies? We have always been good friends up till now. The four white bears looked up at him, and the mother bear and the baby bear in sudden amazement. They rushed at them with loud umphing noises. Joe thought they were going to fight the three bears, and he took up a jug from the table to help his friends. But no, the white bears were not going to fight. They ran to hug the three bears as tightly as they could, and to the children's amazement, tears were pouring down their fairy faces. We didn't know it was you, said the white bears. Why, cousins, we would never have fought you if we'd known that you were the three bears. We love you so much. There, said Mother Bear, wiping the tears of the white bear. It's all right, but for goodness sake, tell the other bears we're friends. We won't want the front door battered down. Moonface opened the door and yelled out of it, Bears, it's all right. This is the cottage of your cousins, the three bears. We're friends. But the white bears didn't answer or come in. Instead, a big white shape came up and squeezed through the door. It was the magic snowman. A chill fell over the little room. The white bears were frightened of him, for he was their master. He shut the door and glared at each of them with his stony eyes. So, even my own bears have gone over to the enemy, he said. Ha! What will you say if I turn you into ice and snow, every one of you? Nobody said anything, but to Bessie's surprise, Moonface shut the door and then went to the fire. He piled on 3 great logs and winked at Bessie. The snowman took up a white bear by the scruff of the neck and shook him. So you found your voices, did you? Didn't I tell you that you were only to say and not speak a word to anyone? I won't have bears that talk. He picked up another white bear and shook him. So you are friends with the enemy, are you? The room became very hot. Joe took off his coat, so did the others. Moonface slyly put on another log. The fire crackled and shot great flames up the chimney. The girls wished that they could take off their coats too. They were so hot. Whatever does Moonface think he's doing, making the room so hot, they thought crossly. But just as they were about to tell him to put the guard round the fire, he winked at them. And they said nothing. Moonface had a strange plan that he was carrying out. The snowman went on and on, grumbling and threatening every one of them. They were listening and said nothing. Moonface poked at the fire, and it blazed up higher and higher. Now, this is what I'm going to do, said the magic snowman. I'm going to make this nice little cottage my own, and I shall live here. All of you others can live in the snow house and freeze for all I care. You will all wait on me and do whatever I say. Yes, said everyone. They all knew what Moonface's plan was. He meant to make the room so hot that the magic snowman would melt. Clever old Moonface. A little trickle of water began to run from the snowman's broad white back, which was near the fire. Moonface pointed to it secretly and grinned. The girls thought Moonface's beaming face looked so funny that they began to giggle. They really couldn't help it. Goldilocks giggled too and stuffed her handkerchief into her small mouth to stop her laughing. The baby bear gave a little high squeak of giggle and then wept bitterly because the snowman shouted at him. "How dare you laugh?" said the snowman angrily. "Outside, all of you! This is my cottage now, and not one of you shall stay here." They all crowded outside except Moonface, who crouched behind a big chair, determined not to leave the fire in case it burnt low. Outside it was bitterly cold, and the white bears quickly dug up the snow and made a high wall to shelter the others from the wind. They crouched there, cuddling close to one another for warmth. The big white bears wrapped their furry arms around the children and warmed them beautifully. Joe thought that they were very, very kind indeed. They waited and they waited. They could see smoke coming from the chimney of the cottage, and they knew that Moonface must be keeping an eye on that fire. The bears oomphed every now and again, and the children whispered to one another. Then suddenly the door of the cottage flung open, and Moonface stood there with his face beaming like a full moon. You can come back now," he shouted. "It's quite safe." They all crowded back into the cottage. Joe looked for the snowman, but he was gone. There was nothing to show where he'd been except a very large puddle of water. "He melted very quickly," said Moonface. "He may have been very magic and very powerful, but he was just made out of snow after all. So he melted like a real snowman on a sunny morning." The polar bears oomphed with delight. They had hated being servants to the snowman. "We'll say goodbye to you now," that they said to the three bears. "This cottage is cosy, but it's far too hot for us. Come and see us again whenever you like. Goodbye." Everyone hugged them goodbye, and Joe felt quite sad to see them go, and Moonface shut the door after them. "Now we'll get back home," he said. "I'm a bit tired of this land. Come on, bears, help me get the cottage back safely." He didn't do the same magic as before. He drew a circle on the floor in blue chalk, and the three bears stood inside holding paws. Moonface danced around them, singing strange magic words. A wind rose up and the cottage rocked. Darkness came down, and for a moment no one could see anything at all. Then gradually the darkness went and the wind blew no more. The sun shone warmly, and in the window Bessie gave a shout. "I say, we're back in the little woody corner that we first saw the cottage, and it's daytime now, not night time." "Well, we've been having this adventure all night long," said Moonface with a laugh. "It's sunrise now, the night has gone. You'd better hurry off home, children, or you'll be scolded for leaving your beds at night." They hugged Goldilocks and shook hands with the three bears. "We'll come back and see you sometime," said Fanny. "Thank you so much for all your help." Goldilocks and the three bears stood at the door and waved goodbye as Moonface hurried the three children away down the lane to catch the train back to the Enchanted Wood. It wasn't long before they'd got to the station, waited for the train, slid off the roof and settled down in the carriage. When they got to the Enchanted Wood, they said goodbye to Moonface, and the girls gave him a kiss for being such big help. He was so pleased that he went red on his enormous face, and Bessie laughed. "You look like the setting sun now too, she said. You really ought to be called Sunface. Goodbye, and see you all soon, I hope, said Moonface. Off the children went home and got into bed, just about an hour before their mother called them to get up. My goodness, they were very sleepy all that day.